So, I mean, Valentine's Day was yesterday and it was a thing, you know?
It was very much a thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It,
Yeah.
does it
Actually,
feel
I
like
did you have a good Valentine's Day? I did.
I worked? So we
Okay.
celebrated our
Yeah.
Valentine's Day actually today.
I was actually going to say, like, technically, I didn't do Valentine's Day yesterday either. We did it the weekend before. We did it last Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's cool too.
It's always so busy on actual Valentine's Day.
Oh, it is. It really, really is. I
Yeah.
mean, and it's tough though sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, um, I don't know. Like this year just feels like Valentine's Day just kind of just came up on us.
It for how long the first couple weeks of February and all of January felt, it
Yeah,
really felt like this came out of nowhere.
it really like I'm
I'm
like, oh
really glad that I had like gifts lined up for it in advance.
yeah,
Because Valentine's Day not only is Valentine's Day, it's also me and my girlfriend's anniversary, so it was
oh
like a double.
yeah. Well, congratulations on that, by the way.
I know it's been 4 years. That's crazy.
That is crazy. Talk to me when you get to over 10.
I will.
Yeah. So yeah, I got some fun stuff for Valentine's Day. Um,
Do
I want to
share
show
if
you.
you want to.
Yeah, yeah, I want to show you a couple of things. Um, so I got this really cool remote. I mean, not remote, but wind up gonk droid.
Oh my gosh, topical.
Yeah, yeah,
I love the little feet.
yeah. It's awesome, isn't it? Like, it's so cool. I love
I
it.
love those little feet.
I love gonk droids. Like, I just love gonk droids.
Gonk Droid is one of those costumes that I really feel like I have to make it at some point.
Yeah, but it's like Tupperware or like
Right.
Rubbermaid. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Um,
Well, there's all of the droid builder clubs, right?
yeah, yeah. I'm part of the Mubos one.
And how there is I cannot remember the like me the name of the droid, but it's one of the cleaning droids. It's kind of like a mouse droid from
Yeah.
episode 1, but it's
Mhm.
literally just an overturned cooler painted
Yes.
yellow.
Yes.
And it's like the people who build these, they've got like, yeah, we've got like bulk orders of these.
Yes.
And then they just slap it on top of an RC car. Boom.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So honestly, making a gonk costume out of, Rubbermaid containers feels correct.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Um. Give me 1 second here, and then I've got like a few other things to show you.
Of course.
Um. I figured I should probably post on X, even though I don't really post on X that much. Um.
People are still there.
Yeah. 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 It's become a lawless hellscape.
It's
Um.
become a lawless. You could even call it a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
I could. So another cool thing that my wife got me for Valentine's Day is a T-shirt, and it's a very special T-shirt that. God, are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It's pickle.
It's pickle.
It's a T-shirt of pickle.
That's actually a really, really good shirt
I
idea.
know, I know,
I love that.
I know. She gave it to me last night. She's like, this one can't wait till tomorrow. Like, I need to give you this now. And I'm like,
That's
okay.
so good.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's got the many moods of pickle, right? Like
The
the
many
many
moods,
moods. Yeah.
the many flavors.
Yeah, exactly. And one other thing that I have to show you. So this was really cool. I got a stand that has like this plastic display thing of Hondo. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, Hollow Hondo.
hollow Hondo. And you can actually, so I have a remote here, so I can actually change the colors if I want to.
But blue is the iconic one.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm keeping them blue.
I
So,
love that.
yeah, so he's actually going to go up on top of the display.
I love that. It's like a
Yeah,
bounty buck.
exactly. Exactly. And I saw him and I was like, "Oh, it's everybody's favorite pirate."
I
So,
can't believe you would take out a bounty on everybody's favorite pirate.
I would never take out a bounty on anybody's favorite pirate. Um, yeah, and then I got some gummy bears.
Some
Um,
gummy bears.
mhm. So we were at Farpoint last weekend,
Yes.
and we had an awesome time. It was a lot of fun. I will say this: the convention was great. However, it felt like people were just tired. Like,
That happens.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
People were
Especially
just
the
tired.
like the kind of off-season cons, like in the
Yeah.
winter. When Los Angeles Comic Con was in December, it was
Mhm.
always a lot more chill.
Oh yeah,
I say chill, but you know what I mean. Sedate might be a better
yeah,
adjective.
yeah. I get it.
Whereas like now that they've moved it to fall again, it's much more,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, like this one, like you could just tell people were just like tired already from the year.
Yeah.
And
Oh, ain't that
yeah,
just the way?
yeah. But we had a great time. Matthew Wood and his partner Helen Sadler were both there.
Very nice.
Yeah, so we got to meet both of them. And I got to talk to Helen was actually in Squadrons. She was one of the TIE pilots in Squadrons.
Very
And
nice.
then she was Dr. Scalder in Bad Batch. And I told her, I said, "Thank you for torturing children for an entire season. Thank you. That was really nice of you." She's just like, "Yeah, you're welcome." Like, and then Matthew Wood was really nice. He was great. He actually started his career at Lucasfilm by testing video games for LucasArts.
That's super cool.
Yeah, in the 90s, which for our younger audience members, the 90s were this wonderful decade that happened 30 plus years ago, where everything was nice and pure and lovely. And, you know, we had dial up internet. Um, yeah. You know,
That was a really good impression. That was a
thank you.
really
Thank
good
you. Thank
impression.
you. Thank you. I listened to it enough as a kid where, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So we got some goodies from Farpoint as well. Um,
let's see the
yeah.
goodies.
So one of the big things about Farpoint, and I'm actually going to do like a big recap, like as we're talking and everything
Mhm,
before we dive into the comic stuff. They do a lot for charity, right? And they support a couple of charities. One of them being Artway Alliance, which does a lot for, um, of course, the arts, but like they do a lot for like writers and cosplayers and stuff like that as well.
mhm,
Like, and they do a lot of workshopping and everything, and it's really cool that they do like these communities and everything, or they do a lot of community outreach.
mhm.
So there's that. And then they also have another charity called the Julian Fleming Memorial Fund, and it actually helps families with children that have terminally ill diseases. And
Mhm.
so the money that they raise goes to those families, and like helping with their medical bills and all that stuff. Um, so they have a charity auction and an art auction, and we kind of cleaned up in the art auction or in charity
Heck
auction.
yeah.
Uh, um, we got this. Moff Gideon bust.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is from Diamond Select, Gentle Giant, Diamond Select.
Yeah,
And it is 1828 out of 3,000.
that's crazy
We got
cool.
it for like 15 bucks.
That's crazy.
I know. So there's that. I got this really cool I've kind of been on a Trek kick lately. I got a Section 31 badge.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very hush hush.
Yeah, yes, yes. Um and then one of the cool things that we also did, um so during the masquerade, they had part of the charity auction, and they had one of the artists that was there for Artway Alliance did a couple of did 4 sketch cards, one for each of the major guests at the convention. And they actually presented these sketch cards to each of the guests, and they autographed them. Um, and so they had Bonnie Gordon from Star Trek Prodigy. She's the voice of the computer, and she does like some anime. So we got
Mhm.
the Bonnie Gordon character card from
Very
this
nice.
anime. Yeah. Then they had Rob Kaczynski, who was in Pacific Rim, and he was in Section 31.
Mhm.
And this is a sketch of his character from Section 31
Very
that he
nice.
autographed. Yeah, sorry for the glare. Um, and we actually met all 4 guests this past weekend, and it was so fun. Rob Kaczynski's
Very cool.
great. He's so funny. And then here's Helen Sadler as Lego Ray.
Fantastic.
Yes. And then here's Matthew Wood as Grievous.
As
And then
General Grievous.
yes, and then we have 2 other
I was
things
gonna
that we
say
got
there were a couple
autographed.
options for Wood,
Yeah.
especially.
Yes. So these were the autographs we originally wanted. Helen was also Jin Urso in Forces of Destiny.
Mhm.
So we got her picture there, and she autographed it. And it
Very
said,
nice.
"You're all rebels, aren't you?" And then um, we've got Matthew Wood with the Grievous.
Very nice.
Do you want to get the hardware? The hardware? Yeah.
The hardware.
Oh yes. Oh, and we got this other thing at the art auction. We got a Halcyon logo quilt a couple of years ago at the art
Uh-huh.
auction, and the same lady that made that made Pip Droid bags.
Oh my gosh, it's Pip!
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Pip. I
Yes.
love Pip.
Yes. Let me see if I can bring up her Etsy real quick because she has an Etsy store. Yeah. 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 I'll post the links later. Like in Discord and stuff. Um, okay. So we entered the costume contest as Blue Milk Ice Cream.
Right.
We won 4 awards.
Hello?
Yes. So we won most original workmanship.
Class.
Yes.
Class. Love that.
Yes. Which was really cool. Okay. Then we were in the science fiction category. We won number 1 in science fiction.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Um, and then we won best presentation because we were bribing people with
Because you
ice
were
cream.
bribing people with ice
Yeah,
cream.
yeah. And Rob Kaczynski actually tried to eat the foam ice cream. So like he actually bit into it and spat it out. So it's like so the pieces of foam ice cream are all over the judge's
That's
table
so
at some
funny.
point. Yeah. And so when we met him the next day, he was just like, "Yeah, I tried to eat that ice cream, by the way."
That's so
Yes.
funny.
And then so they have these stage hands that help that are called the ninjas. We won the
Right.
Ninja's Choice Award.
Got
It's got a ninja.
a ninja on it.
It was great. It was so funny. At one point, Rob Kaczynski was supposed to present an award, but then like he wasn't supposed to present it. So like he tried jumping up on stage, and when they said it's not your time, like he backflipped off stage. Or no, he fell. Yeah, he fell. So like he's just like laying on the ground like this, like right by the judges table. And like when we got called up for the award, I just looked down and I see him just like looking up at me like this. And I was just like, "Are you good, dude?" He said, "Yeah." He's like, "Dude, I'm good.
That's
I'm
so
good. I'm
funny.
golden. I'm golden, man." Oh, it was so funny. He was the best. Like he was hamming it up. He was having a good time. Yeah, I got to talk anime with him, which was a lot of fun.
Very nice.
Yeah, he's a big gamer too, like overall nerd. So, last week how I said Section 31 wasn't like really good. He convinced me to watch it again because like he
Yeah,
shared his passion for the project and for the movie. And I was like, "You know what? I'll watch it again." Not as bad as the first time. Um,
nice.
yeah, and I think I'd watch it again, like just throw something on in the background. Um, but yeah, it was fun. But I am starting to line up some stuff with Artway Alliance as well as like a few other organizations within the science fiction community and everything. Um, yeah, there's a lot there. Oh, so Artway Alliance on Sunday of Farpoint
Hmm.
did a thing about the Bad Batch character designs. So they actually had an artist talking about the character designs. And he was a local artist. And so like he was like sketching some of the Bad Batch. So my wife's like, "Well, while he's sketching the Bad Batch, I'm gonna sketch the Bad Batch also." And so she sketched the Bad Batch.
Very nice. I love that. They look
Yes.
fantastic.
Oh, they do. And she had to get the most important member of the team there.
Of course.
Yeah,
The
she
most
she had to get
important.
she had to get Batcher. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. We missed the drag performance Saturday. But that's fine. Hey,
Putting
Zach.
the sad in Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. But the main drag queen that was leading it actually won the fan contact award Friday night at the opening ceremonies for all that she does for fandom. And that
Very
was
nice.
actually really cool. And her speech was just wonderful. Like I don't think there was a dry eye in the room. Like,
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. And it was just really nice. And like just seeing it's hard to refer to her as a she because
Mhm.
you know what I mean, like, yeah, but it's Demanda. You know what I mean, like, because I get it, like when she's in drag, she's, yeah. I'm
It's a
sorry.
persona.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
A
I'm sorry
persona.
if I was all over the place with that.
You're
If I
fine.
if I offended anybody, I apologize. Yeah, I am
Look,
getting used to it. Yeah, I am. What was that, Leah?
you're doing great.
Okay, thank you. Um, so what else? There was a panel my wife went to about dinosaurs and how they evolved into birds,
Mm, yeah.
or the theories that they evolved into birds. It was
Love
no,
my avian dinosaurs.
yes, it was no. I've seen Bigfoot, but I'm not going to present evidence that I've seen Bigfoot panel from last year.
I've seen Bigfoot.
Oh,
Trust me.
okay. Yeah, 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 pretty much. Like this one dude, yeah, last year was like, "I've seen Bigfoot. I've seen Bigfoot." And we're like, "Okay, where are the photos?" Well, I was in Northwest New York one time and I was squatching,
Squatching.
squatching. And I
How
was just
crazy
like,
is it that it just happens to be when people are squatching that they see
it's,
Bigfoot, but
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
not when they're like hunting, like normal things to
Exactly.
do?
It's only when they're squatching that they see Bigfoot. Yeah, we're going to call it squatching. Um, and they
Squatching sounds
why?
wrong. Like it sounds like something that you get in trouble for.
Yeah, yeah. Squatching sounds like something that you do on a Saturday night that you just immediately regret the next day.
Sounds like something you're ashamed to tell your friends.
Yeah. So Bill, what did you do over the weekend? I went squatching.
Okay.
It was
I'm
terrible.
calling HR.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm calling HR. What? Oh, Pickle apparently is trying to play with an iPad because he sees moving stuff.
That's
He's an
really
iPad kid.
funny.
Yes, he's an iPad kid. Oh, and then my wife brought her a Thorian that I showed you the last time. She brought the Thorian to Farpoint, and she's like carrying it around. And we were at the opening ceremonies Friday night, and, like we're walking around, like saying hi to people, and then she has like the Thorian in her arms, and Bonnie Gordon's like, "Oh, that's a really cute puppy," and she's like, "Oh my god."
That's a really cute. Ah,
She's like, "It's hideous."
that's really funny.
Yeah, yeah. And then Kaczynski's like, "Are you just here to scare people? Because it's really scaring me." It's so funny. Oh man, it was a good weekend. It was a
Sounds
fun
like
weekend.
it.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. Yeah, apparently Pickle's trying to buy stuff. Um,
Pickle with the in-app purchases.
yes, Pickle with the in-app purchases. Now you've spent $100 in a game you didn't want to play.
150, 200,
150, 200.
230.
Yes. Apparently, he opened an app, and my wife's like, "You weren't even. That wasn't even supposed to be open." He's just like,
That
"Yeah,
yeah. That reminds that reminds me of when I was a kid. You remember the classic computer screensaver where it looked like a bunch of fish swimming across the
yeah, oh
screen,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah."
We had cats, and one of the cats was like kept trying to bat at the
Yep.
fish. So we were legitimately worried, like, is she gonna knock the computer monitor off? So we had to switch the screensaver.
Then it becomes that stupid geometric shape.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah,
did switch it to a stupid geometric shape, but it
yeah.
kept the cat from knocking over the computer monitor. So you know, we
We
take what we can get.
we've put bird videos on the TV before, and Pickle has just freaked out. Like he ran one time and started swatting at the TV. I'm like, "Cat, you need to stop." Like, meanwhile, the audience is like, "So when are they going to talk about Star Wars?"
We'll get there. We'll get there
We're
when we
getting
get there.
there. Yeah,
It's
we're
about the
catching up.
journey, not the
Journey before
destination.
destination, my friends. Journey before destination. But yeah, it was just, oh, man, it was just too funny. And then they had Ghostbusters at Farpoint, so
Mhm.
Saturday we ordered pizza like before we had to go to the masquerade green room. And so like I had to go to the lobby to pick up the pizza, and like the the delivery driver's like, "Are those real Ghostbusters?" I was like, "No."
Are those
Sure,
real
man.
Ghostbusters? Yes. This place is haunted.
Yeah. He's like, "I don't want to hear any ghosts running around in the area." Just like, I'm like, "All right, bud, go ahead." Like, you know, go, go. Like, thank you for the pizza.
Thank you for the
It was
pizza.
a
Bye.
weekend. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was a weekend.
It was
It
a
was a
weekend.
it was a weekend. It was fun, but it was a weekend. Um, oh, Bonnie Gordon sang some of her most memorable songs, including one about Spock having the bridge. It
Very.
was called "Now You Have the Bridge, Spock," and it's in the same tune as "Hit Me with Your Best Shot." Um, sh-
Very nice.
she sang D&D, which is in the tune of TNT. She sang Pokeball, which was a parody of Wrecking Ball. Yeah. And then my favorite was her pining over Brent Spiner. And she talked about how much she loved Data. And then at the end, she kept calling for Brent Spiner, and he never showed up. And she's like, "One of these days, it's gonna work."
One of these days it's gonna work.
And then she's like, "Oh yes, there was that one too." But then she's like, "Well, when uh, when the restraining order finally goes away." Um, and then she sang a song about the Princess Bride and told the entire story of the movie.
I love that.
Yes. And then like they had a signer,
Mhm.
um and Bonnie Gordon just looks at her before the Princess Bride song, and she's like, "I feel really sorry for you right now." Yes, and remember, it's all about that space, no tribbles.
No tribbles.
No tribbles.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
it was
Have you
so.
ever tried to explain tribbles to someone who has not watched Star Trek?
I had to explain tribbles to my wife, like, when we first started dating, even though her dad has watched every single Star Trek and is, like, a big fan. Yeah,
It makes you
tribbles.
feel like an insane person to try to
Yeah,
explain the importance of the
yeah.
tribbles,
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
the
And now
impact that they had.
yeah. I mean, have you watched Trials and Tribulations, the Deep Space Nine episode?
I am infamous for having not watched DS9 or anything other than the original series. I know
Okay.
I'm horrible. It's
You're
on
not
the
horrible.
long list of things I need to watch.
All I'm gonna say is there's an episode in Deep Space Nine where they go back to the Trouble with Tribbles episode, and
Um, th-
Odo has this tribble, and Worf is like undercover, and he's got like this hat on and everything,
to
and like
hide is
yeah, to hide his ridges. And Odo sits down and shows the tribble to Worf, and it starts squealing like
yeah.
tribbles do, and Worf's like, "Yeah, no, those are the sworn enemies of the Klingon Empire." And Odo's like, What? Like, are there songs about the Great Klingon Tribble War that we don't know about? Like, like what is it?" But yes, tribbles are interesting because they're kind of like gremlins where you don't want to feed them.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, just all of the behind the scenes stories of the original Trouble with Tribbles. I feel like every I keep learning new things about it. It's like, how the heck did that show ever even get made?
Oh, I know, I know. I could you imagine if they tried that with Next Generation? Like, fans would be so pissed.
This
Well,
is
we won't
why
get a
I
Lower Decks Tribble episode. Sorry. Go ahead.
we need to be unafraid to make science fiction a little silly and a little dumb again.
Oh yes, I agree. I agree. There's a like if Next Generation had done, because Next Generation did some silly episodes. Like
Hmm.
they did some silly episodes. But like if they had, oh god, I'm watching the USA Canada Four Nations game while also talking, and there have been 3 fights so far in 9 seconds in this game.
That sounds about right. Ah,
There are 6 people in penalty boxes right now.
I
Anyway,
miss I miss playing hockey and throwing the odd punch, and I was the
yeah,
goalie, so I could get
oh,
away with it. No one
ugh,
puts the goalie in the penalty box.
exactly. Um, but yeah, sci-fi needs to be silly, and that's why I'm happy Young Jedi Adventures is as silly as it is.
That's why that's part of why I think Skeleton Crew worked so well, is
Yeah.
because it was silly. Or like season one of Mandalorian had that perfect mix of silly and not silly.
Hmm.
Or
Even
like
Boba Fett.
honestly, that's why I
Yeah.
like rewatching Boba Fett so much.
Like when he starts
Um
riding a
yeah,
Rancor, that's silly.
like a bantha.
Yes, like a Bantha. Yeah, like that is stupid and funny.
But it's good.
It
Like it's
is.
fun to watch.
It is. Even
Um
Resistance was very silly.
it, Resistance was fantastically silly. Rebels
Yeah.
was very silly.
Hmm.
Uh, Clone Wars, for as much as people talk about the dark parts of it, had a lot of really silly stuff in it.
It did. It
You're
did.
gonna look at me and you're gonna pretend that the Droid Squad arc or that what's his name, that one inspector guy.
Oh, yeah, the the non Hercule Poirot guy.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
The dude who wasn't the world's greatest detective.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was during the Cad Bane stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
Even
point being, there's lots of good silliness in
yeah,
all of these things.
even Zero the Hutt. I mean, he sounds like Droopy Dog.
I can't hear Zero the Hutt without thinking of that the fake leaked script page from The Mandalorian and Grogu, where
Oh
it's
yeah.
like this, where it's like where it's zero, they're going around saying like the "you have my axe"
Yeah.
scene, but it's just a bunch of characters and like Cal Kestis is like I'm Cal Kestis, and then Zero the Hutt says, "And my delicious Cajun gumbo."
So he sounds a little bit like Droopy Dog, but then he also sounds like every Southern lawyer ever. Where he's like, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I do declare.
The law offices of Zero and Hutt.
Coming to a skeezy cantina near you.
Um, yeah. Anyway, we brought it back around to Star Wars.
We did finally instead of talking about Shrek. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna we also did go to a Star Wars fan fiction writing workshop.
Very nice.
Yeah, that Artway Alliance put on. One of my I guess I could call him a friend now. Rod, he's a local author.
Hmm.
He did a Star Wars fanfic back in the early 2000s about that actually introduced the dark saber before the dark saber was even introduced. Um, yeah, and this one actually was a lightsaber. I forget what the species that he used were. Like they're very sensitive to light. So this was a lightsaber that actually didn't really light up. It was kind of like a black light.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's how he was able to
I like
fight and
that.
everything. Yeah.
I like
Um,
that.
and he actually talked about the Sith temple underneath
Under the
the
Jedi Temple.
yeah. So it was really cool to hear.
Very nice.
Yeah. So
I keep thinking about the Star Wars fanzine from 1981 that my friend found for me,
oh yeah.
that I read because it features the first Mpreg fan fiction ever, which is Han Solo,
Hmm.
which is just I love that that's the case. I love that someone walked out of the theater in 1980 after seeing Empire Strikes Back and said, Han Solo, what a guy. Need to get that man pregnant. Uh,
It was Junior before Junior was even a thing.
exactly, exactly. Um, I would have thought that it would have been Spurk that did it first, but no, it was Han Leia.
Hmm.
Um, Crazy. Um, Yeah. That one also had a really nice Yoda fan
Oh,
fiction.
nice.
It was like,
Nice.
what was Yoda like when he was a apprentice?
We 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 talked about Yoda in both the Bad Batch session and the
Yoda,
writing session, and I said
Yoda.
I said they're like, "So, Eric, what
I
are your
hate
thoughts
that.
on Yoda?" I was
I
like,
hate
"I
that
hate that
frog.
guy." I was like, "I hate him." They're like, "Why?" And I was like, "He covers everything up."
I just rewatched The Phantom Menace the other day,
Hmm.
and I was just sitting like in the council scene with Yoda, and I'm just like, Yoda, this is your fault.
Exactly.
You knew that the Sith were potentially back 100 years ago.
Yeah, and he didn't do anything about it.
And it's not like Vernestra was gonna say no, he's Yoda. Everyone just does what he says.
The little green guy,
Oh, that little green guy.
that little green frog.
That goddamn frog. Anyway, speaking of Star Wars and having
Yes.
mentioned the Bad Batch,
Yeah, let's talk about Bad Batch Ghost Agents number 1.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I did
I
too.
think that's the easiest way for me to summarize how I feel about it. I will admit I did not get the full experience of the art because, fun fact, it has been super rainy here. So
Mhm.
that comic ended up completely waterlogged. So
Oh,
we'll probably be seeking out a replacement for it.
yes.
But um, so I can't speak as much to the art. It was sopping wet. However, the words were nice. And I think the action was really fun.
Mhm.
I mean, it had the classic crosshair bit, the
Yeah.
classic wrecker with large creatures.
Yeah. I will say this. I loved Crosshair in this issue.
He's really good in this issue. He gets
Yeah.
to shine.
Yeah, he does. And I think that that's really cool that like now that we've kind of gotten his redemption arc within the Bad
We can
Batch.
have him as like a guy who we like again.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's the scene in the bar when they're trying to get the information, and he shoots like all those shots that just like keep
Right.
deflecting, and he says the next shot is going to hit all 6 of you. Like, which
Yeah.
one's it going to be?
And like they all, except for Tech, I think, participated in that kind of like intimidation interrogation.
Because even Hunter is like smirking at the stuff that Crosshair's saying.
Right, he's smirking at the stuff Crosshair saying. He's the one who's waving Wrecker in to be like, Wrecker, bag some heads.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love how like Wrecker's just like, yeah, we got to do it this way. We got to do it this way. And then like Tech's like, no, no, we were sent in to do it this way. And then and then Hunter's like, yeah, let's see how that goes. Like let's see how that goes first.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. And then when it doesn't happen, they all look to Wrecker and Wrecker's like, okay, like my turn.
My turn. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was fun.
Hmm.
Um it felt lighthearted in a way that some of the episodes of the Bad Batch were, but a lot of
Yeah.
it was not as much that.
Hmm. Um
Um yeah.
I loved the inclusion of Mace Windu also.
Yes, I like that he was the one who was like their point of contact for this
Yeah, yeah.
mission.
I thought that that was really cool. I thought it was a lot of fun. Plus like anytime like we can get more of Mace Windu and like his backstory and stuff like.
Yeah. I've
Mhm.
not stopped thinking about Glass Abyss.
I still need to finish that book.
Oh my god. I that book. it's rent free in my head at this point.
I mean, that's good though. Like that's
Right.
really good.
It's this is why I really like the Star Wars publishing stuff because it has so much sway over my opinion of characters.
Hmm.
Like I didn't hate Yoda until the High Republic,
Yes.
and I didn't like I liked Mace Windu, but I didn't love Mace Windu until the Mace Windu comic and Glass Abyss.
Yeah. Yeah, the Mace Windu comic that they did a couple of years ago, I think it was like Warrior of the Republic or something like that. Like it had like some sort of subtitle about the Republic. Um
There's always a subtitle, and I never pay attention to them.
yeah, same here. Um yeah, I thought it was fun. It to me it felt like you said, Leah, it was one of those episodes of the Bad Batch that was just like silly and
Yeah,
fun and um now like the stakes are definitely going to get higher as this goes on.
absolutely. That's how these comics tend to work.
Hmm.
But like this definitely this was a great like reintroduction to the team as it was at
Yes.
this time.
Yeah.
This is pre Echo. This is obviously
Yep.
pre Omega.
And it's
Obviously pre Empire.
and it's really cool to see them operate without Echo because the
Right.
only time that we've seen them operate without Echo was, I mean, there were a few episodes in the main series here and there, but it was the the introduction of them in season 7 of Clone Wars.
Yes.
Um so it's just really cool to get just those four core members of the batch
Yeah.
together and just it's getting the band back together. It's all the shenanigans and goings on. Um and the fun thing is I read every single character in my head in every single
In
character's
their
voice.
voice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought it was great. And I will say the art is fantastic. I read it digitally, and like the art was just beautiful. Like I want to go pick up the physical copy, but
Yeah. I'm really sad that it got rained on, but say lovey.
well, hopefully when you go back to your comic book store for your next batch of comics, you can pick
Yeah.
up another issue.
I should be able to.
Yeah.
Um
From what I've heard, I think it's gonna get a reprint too. Like it did that well.
I know that the Kylo Ren comic was, so that
Yeah,
actually doesn't surprise me at all.
yeah,
These are, I mean, Kylo Ren and Bad Batch are two very in-demand characters.
yeah. Oh yeah. Um, and I'll tell you one thing. Like having Helen Sadler and Matthew Wood at Farpoint, like there was a lot of love for the Bad Batch last weekend.
Yeah,
Like a lot of love for the Bad Batch. Like I said, we were at that panel that was all about the Bad Batch character designs and everything, and it was just really
yeah.
cool. Um,
I mean,
and yeah,
there's a reason why they went straight from the Bad Batch show ending to okay, we've got a Bad Batch comic, we've got a Bad
yep.
Batch book in the pipeline, we've
Mhm.
got yeah,
And that's what we need to talk about as well, because now that we're talking about the Bad Batch comic, that is a great transition to go into the Bad Batch book, and then we'll move
yeah,
on to the Kylo Ren comic. Um, Sanctuary, new Bad Batch novel in August. I believe that's when it is.
I honestly can't say I've looked too much into
Yes,
the plans here,
it
the
is
plan for that
August.
one.
It is August 5th, 2025. It is an adult novel. Um, it is so it says this is from StarWars.com.
Mhm.
It says we never got over losing Clone Force 99 when we said goodbye with the series finale of the Bad Batch last year, but no one's ever really gone. And today, StarWars.com is pleased to announce that that soon the Bad Batch will be back in action in Star Wars Sanctuary, a Bad Batch novel, a new book from Lamar Giles with an exclusive first look at the book's cover art. Which I mean, the cover art looks fantastic. Um, So it says the story of Sanctuary, set during the events of season 2 of the Disney Plus series, centers around Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, and Omega as they work with treasure hunter Fee on a plan to help rebuild their island refuge after the devastating tsunami seen in the episode Pabu. So that's going to be interesting.
Very nice.
Yes. Um, let's see here. Hunter, Wrecker, Tech and Omega gamble on a mission to help rebuild Pabu in this thrilling adventure for the Bad Batch, and apparently Crosshair and Wreck, or no, um, no, it says a good soldier knows that life is all about change, whether it's on or off the battlefield. Surviving living means adaptation. Hunter is well acquainted with this lesson. He's on the run from the Empire. Echo's off on a mission with Rex, and Crosshair is still Crosshair. But but amidst all the change, Hunter still has Tech, Wrecker, and Omega. Okay, so I don't know if we're going to get Crosshair in the book or even Echo in the book. Um, but I'm okay if it's just those 4 characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah,
mean, it's slotted into this particular time, so it's not like you can't play around too much with the composition of the team and that sort of
yeah,
thing. And you can have these moments away, but every scene that you have away from Pabu is like taking away from the core,
yeah,
whatever of it. I get it.
yeah. And like, I don't want to say Pabu isn't important, but at the same time, like, it doesn't feel as important as it should. And like, maybe this book will change that in a way, because like we never really we see Pabu just a couple of times in the show. So like when they get attacked in season 3, like I felt bad, but I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Um but it looks, I mean, the cover art looks great. I really love the synopsis. I'm always down for Tech and Fee. Always down for more Tech and Fee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Always down for more Uncle Wrecker and niece Omega.
Exactly.
Yep. And then, I'm always down for clone Rambo. Because that's what he is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited for this book. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. It doesn't come out till August. But we've got a lot of Star Wars books to hold us over this year.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
in fact, one actually comes out 2 weeks from now.
Yes. Mask
And
of Fear.
Mask of Fear, the Mon Mothma novel.
Mon Mothma, Bail Organa,
Yeah.
and Saw Gerrera.
Yep. Yes.
Which those are really three big faces to pick for like
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
what would become the rebellion at this
Mhm.
time.
Yeah. I'm really excited to read this book. I will be picking that up on day one. I'm actually gonna take a break from the High Republic for a little bit, read this, and then jump back into the High Republic because I still have a few I still have a few books to read before Charles' novel comes out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I'm really excited for Mask of Fear, especially because Alexander Freed is writing it, and I love Alexander Freed's work so much. Um, he's incredible. Let's talk about Legacy of Vader #1. This is the Kylo Ren comic, um, which we'll talk about what it's about and everything. And then I want to dive into a few of the connections and stuff, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk about what it was about?
Yeah, it's immediately after Last Jedi. Kylo is asserting his control as the new leader of the First Order, um, beefing with Hux as always.
That is amazing.
Um, Honestly, the Kylo and Hux scene was so funny to me.
Oh, it was.
It felt really perfectly in character for both of them. Um, which I think has been, I mean, that's true of pretty much every Star Wars comic that Charles has written.
Yes.
He's a master at matching
Yeah,
tone.
he really is.
Um, and then it's Kylo Ren. He becomes convinced that he needs to go face face the past, being Vader,
Hmm.
um, and kill the past if he has to, which is his whole spiel in Last Jedi. But on that warpath, he is told by none other than everyone's new favorite, Head in a Jar, Vane, uh, being Vader's servant. I don't remember what his title was. Um,
I think he was just a servant or like
yeah,
yeah, yeah. We don't
um,
see him much except for the Vader comic.
yeah. Um, but he says, no, you don't want to, you don't want to kill the past. You want to let the past fuel your hatred. And the two of them start going on this journey through what made Vader Vader.
I love that you talked about the the Hux and Kylo scene
It's
because
so
yeah,
Kylo being like, build me a throne,
yeah, I just
and
got
I can't
that.
decide if it's, and I can't decide if it's,
And then Hux in the bottom with the fists.
and I can't decide if this was Kylo being like caring more about the aesthetics of being a leader rather than any of the actual material things, which Hux was trying to do,
Yeah.
or if it's him just being like, screw you, go do something menial because I hate you.
Um.
I feel like it's a little bit of both, actually.
Yeah. Well, also like there's this crazy panel a few pages beforehand, and it's when uh Kylo gets back on the First Order Star Destroyer, and he throws Snoke's body.
Yes.
Like that is insane when he
It's
does that.
insane, and it's like, it's such a show of force. It's such a very classic dictatorial
Yes.
behavior. Um, and also, I love that he's just outright flatly lying to
Yes.
everyone. And how there's the inset panel that shows that he's lying.
Yeah.
That he says the rebel girl killed the resistance girl killed the supreme leader, and then there's just this the frame of him
It's the panel
chopping
right
in
there.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and his hand is even out, so it looks like he's pulling the lightsaber.
Hmm.
Parallels.
And then well, also like Luke Ross's art is just fantastic throughout this issue. Like it's absolutely gorgeous. Um oh, and then he throws Snoke's remains out of the shield barrier of the hangar. He just like
Yeah,
force throws it.
like, well, that's him killing the past.
Yeah. And then like I love this bit right here with Luke and Kylo. Um
Luke Ross's art was that was the perfect artist pick for this
yeah, it
comic.
really is. And then like as he's having that breakdown, he's going through um killing Han, and then like going through seeing like the heartbreak on Leia's face, and then like his interactions with Snoke and his interactions with Rey, and everything. And then he has this line that says, "Kill it, you whining baby!" Like, like kill the past. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And then that's when he sends for Hux, and then that's when we get one of the funniest bits in the whole thing. And then
Yeah.
I love that he goes to Mustafar to Castle Vader. And then that's when he meets Vanee. Um, but like he gets into that fight with those guards as well, like beforehand. And that to me was just so cool too.
Yeah. Because he goes in with nothing but like death and destruction on his mind.
Yeah.
And like you can see that in his behavior, and it's really good.
And then he has that there's that bit where he takes out all the guards and then he walks up to the door and then like the drop of blood hits the ground and then like sizzles away.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's such a
Because
great.
we're still on Mustafar.
Yeah.
It's hot.
Even though it's raining.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's probably boiling hot water
Oh
raining
yeah.
down too.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I love it. I love it so much. Um it was a great first issue. And then they're going to Tatooine next, which I think is really cool too.
Mm.
Um and I think that's where we're gonna see Vader kill Watto.
Have
Um
I told my thoughts on this? My hypothesis here.
no,
I
go ahead.
I have this thought. What if he didn't actually kill Watto? What if Kylo just convinces himself that he killed Watto because that's what he thinks Vader would do,
I mean,
and this is him doing his fanboy behavior?
a- actually it would make sense because ultimately Kylo is just a fanboy.
He's ultimately just Vader's biggest fanboy.
Yeah.
Second biggest after Van A, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
I am Vader's biggest fanboy. I am such a big fanboy. I have turned myself into a president head in a jar like
Yes,
Futurama.
yes, yes, yes. He is the best. I have all his albums. Yes.
You call yourself a fan of Darth Vader. Name 5 of his songs.
Yeah, exactly. We sing karaoke every night on Mustafar.
Oh,
Sometimes Palpatine would show up and bring the dip.
what kind of dip would Palpatine bring to
Beer
karaoke night?
cheese. He'd bring pretzels and beer cheese.
Ah,
He,
that actually
he'd,
sounds solid.
I know, right? Because like that to me, like Palpatine isn't going to be. I mean, let's face it. Palpatine's a jerk, but I think he wouldn't skimp
I
on
do think he's a
snacks.
man who has taste.
Yeah, he does. Like he wouldn't skimp out on the snacks,
like
especially if it's
for
good.
everything that Palpatine is, he does have a really good sense of like aesthetics and taste.
Oh yeah, he's a gourmand. Like
It
the
is like it was a very conscious choice for him to wear a shapeless black robe as the Emperor.
yeah, exactly. He could have just donned it up, but he
He
didn't.
could have been wearing a big gold crown.
Exactly. Hence why he's able to afford the beer cheese and the pretzels for the karaoke party.
Do you know how many people show up to this party? Do you know how
Probably.
much beer cheese you need to get?
Exactly. 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 You
I
know?
had
And
to go to Planet Beer Cheesa,
yeah.
where there's oceans of beer cheese.
Yeah.
Drained the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. He sent the entire 501st to drain a single ocean of beer cheese. And here we are off on a tangent again. Um
Look, it wouldn't be Starlight Beacon Transmissions if there wasn't
exactly.
a tangent.
Exactly. Um but so I recently read Rise of Kylo Ren. And like
Really good comic.
but there's so many tie-ins to that in this issue.
Oh, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
would be shocked if there weren't more as we go forward.
Yeah. But and that was of course written by Charles Soule, like this one was. Um, but it was just
Charles Soule loves
so
his
good.
connective tissue.
He he is the best.
How long until they go to a High Republic location?
Oh, it's happening. It's
Are they going
happening.
to go back to the Amaxine station?
I think they will because it's embedded in Kylo Ren's DNA.
Hmm.
Um, and like I think in order for him to kill the past, that has to be like one of the things that has to die.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Kylo just said, "Screw it, we're gonna blow it up" at some point.
Wow. I can see him like turning it against itself.
Yeah, like using the Force.
Oh, I was gonna say like using the helix
Hmm.
drive generator thingies.
Yeah, like he
Because
could.
he is ultimately Han's son. He would be able to rig those to
He
blow up.
would. He would. I think he would destroy it. And then I could see him going back to Alfrona too at some point. Especially like trying to bury the past of what he did on Alfrona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
And
trying to in if following Van Amor, trying to dwell in the past.
hmm I also wouldn't be surprised if Charles actually followed up on the whole Luke I'll see you around kid thing and Luke actually
Yeah.
shows up in the comic as a Force ghost.
Oh, that would be incredible.
Yeah. Like
I think that would have to happen either in like an Alfrona moment,
yeah.
like trying to dwell in the past, and then he like freaks out and is like, "No, destroy it, destroy it."
Yeah.
I could also maybe even see him going back to the ruined temple.
Yeah, I could see him too. And like either Alfrona or the ruined temple would be the good place to actually have Luke show up as a Force
Yeah,
ghost and just be like, "Look, you did this. Like this was your doing. This wasn't my doing."
yeah.
And technically it was both of their doing, but
One of them, one of them pulled the trigger.
yeah, one of them did pull the trigger.
One of
And it
them just left.
yeah.
Anyway,
But like I could see Charles doing something like that because that's one of the big things that a lot of people wanted in Rise of Skywalker was that interaction between Kylo Ren and Luke Skywalker as a Force ghost.
yeah,
And I could see like Kylo like in those interactions like just pushing Luke to the side and's like I want nothing to do with you because that's why we don't see that connection in Rise of Skywalker. I don't know. Just a thought about it, but and plus, if it's Legacy of Vader, Luke needs to be involved a lot more. So, you okay?
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I
No, no,
zoned
not
out
you.
for a second.
I was asking my wife. I just heard, "Come on!" I'm like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
Sorry.
Um, but yeah, I'm really excited for this era of
Hmm.
comics. I've said that before. I stand by that after these first two issues of this like new era.
Hmm. So,
Um, yeah.
so my question to you now is: so Charles just got done the 50 issue main Star Wars run that took
Yes.
place like over a year.
Right.
Can he squeeze 50 issues out of this in that year time?
Not impossible. I don't think this will be a full 50 issue
Yeah.
thing. I think it'll be a bit shorter,
I think it'll go 20 to 25.
which I think is reasonable. I think
Yeah.
that's reasonably long for this.
Hmm.
Um,
Because Poe was 25
yes.
with a few annuals.
And that was like a perfect length for that
Yeah.
story. Um, yeah.
Also, do you think we'll see Batu?
I would love to see Batu. I mean, the things that I would love to see would be the Battle of Batu,
Hmm.
and would be his call with Pyre and Tierney.
Hmm.
I don't know how that would come up, but I would just love the Resistance fans would love to see
Yeah.
Pyre and Tierney again.
I mean, it's a good way to bring in Pyre. Like, it's a
It's a
really
great
good
way to
way.
bring in
Yeah.
Pyre.
Yeah. Yeah. Since Phasma's gone now, and
Plus, I would love to see like, was he just in a really bad mood, and that's why he was like, "I'm going to make you point your guns at each other."
yeah, that's a good question too. Well, and one never knows the moods of one Kylo Ren.
No, that's kind of why Hux hated him.
And I mean, Hux is only in that for just a couple of pages, but he is the standout character in that first
I
issue.
want to see Hux's continuously like being pushed further and further into
Hmm.
hating Kylo.
I agree. I think it'll
Like it's not
be.
like he had far to go, but
Plus, I think that this is the perfect opportunity to set up Hux being the mole for the Resistance.
I'm the spy.
Yeah, yeah, being the spy for the Resistance. Plus, you can also bring in Pride as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to when Pride shows up.
Yeah, because when he showed up in Shadow of the Sith, I was so happy when he showed up in that book. Um, so yeah, it was a good week for Star Wars comics, or a good 2 weeks for Star Wars comics, between Legacy of Vader and Bad Batch Ghost Agents, which I thought that's such a great name for that story, Ghost Agents. I wanted to
Yeah,
call it Bad Batch Ghost Protocol because it's kind of a Mission Impossible thing.
that's that's one of those things that's like that's gonna trip us up for a long
Yeah.
time.
Well, I kept wanting to call it Ghost Bloods because like that, but that's the next story Brandon Sanderson's working on for Mistborn. And I'm like, yeah, Bad Batch Ghost Bloods. And I'm like, no, it's Ghost Agents. Damn it. Like I just kept messing up on that. Good year for to be a Bad Batch fan between the comic and the novel coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah. Good year to be a sequel
I
fan.
I mean 10th anniversary.
Can't believe it's been 10 years.
I can't believe it's been 20 years since Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, don't remind me. I saw that came out the year I graduated high school. I saw that 5 times that summer.
I so when this is not about Force Awakens, which was the 10th anniversary of, but when Last Jedi came out, my friend and I both had like horrible, late shift food service jobs.
Oh, yeah.
So we would like get off at midnight and we would always, for a long time, we would, after work, we would go to the like dirt cheap movie theater with the midnight showings and we would watch Last Jedi again over and over every
Nice.
like Tuesday or whatever the deal was for weeks.
Nice. Nice.
And it was just like we had a horrible day at work. We need this
Yeah, time to make it better with Star Wars.
and to make it better with Star Wars.
And it's crazy, like there's still a lot of Last Jedi haters out there. Um
And
but
like
there's a
it's a flawed movie.
it
Every Star
is.
Wars movie is flawed.
Absolutely. Um but like the more and more people I interact with, the more and more actually really like that movie.
It was a really, really fun movie. I
Mhm.
really liked it.
I like all
Um,
three.
I like all three of the sequels. Like
Yeah.
it was a hard sell to kill my boy in Rise of Skywalker, but like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
just good stuff. I rewatched Force Awakens the other day.
still holds up.
Fantastic movie. Fantastic movie.
Yeah, still holds up very well. All three of them do.
Um, that's why I'm really looking forward to getting more sequel stories because
Hmm.
that's the thing. The sequels, what they have needed is the additional outside stuff
I
that
agree.
the other trilogies have gotten.
Yeah,
And the sequels have not gotten it. And that's a shame.
and that's why I'm looking forward to Codebreaker from Ethan Sachs.
So I'm looking
I'm
forward to Codebreaker. That's why I was really looking forward to, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of uh, Legacy of Vader.
hmm
Um, knock on wood, we get like a Ray something announcement,
hmm
a Finn something announcement, please.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Like I said, like I said a few weeks back, I would love for them to continue Resistance in comic format, even if it's in this hyperspace stories.
yeah,
Yeah, from Dark Horse. I would love that.
I think the hyperspace stories Dark Horse would be perfect.
Hmm.
You know, make it an all ages comic. Make
Hmm.
it.
And
Um,
it doesn't have to go like 12 issues. It could go like 5 or 6 issues,
yeah.
and then just bring it back every once in a
I mean, I would
while.
love for it to go
Oh yeah,
more, but
me too. But like you could bring it back every once in a while. Just be like, oh, okay, now we're doing another Resistance story for another 6 or so issues.
yeah,
Hmm. And people would buy
yeah,
it. So
I would.
no, me too, me too. Um, anything else?
Um, anything else? High Republic Adventures continues to make me cry.
I'm gonna get caught up on that at some point.
Well, let's see. Is there anything that I'm? We've got the Fear of the Jedi starting next week.
Yeah.
Um, that I'm really looking forward to as one of Keith's biggest fans. I'm ready to watch her have the worst days of her life.
Alexander and the very good, no bad, very good, bad day, whatever it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
Yeah.
That's
Yep. Yep. Yep.
because it's like Keith's been having such a rough go.
Hmm.
She's been helping everyone else around her out and not getting any help for herself
Yeah, that's true.
for since 2021.
Hmm.
Uh,
She's
I'm
had a rough go.
so scared for what it is that makes her finally decide to leave.
We're about to find out.
And the one thing that I don't think it is, I don't think Skier's gonna die.
No.
I think they've pulled that punch too many times. Um, and
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't want him
curious.
to at this point. I think it hurts more and works better for the story if she leaves him behind.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
I just hope she gets to say goodbye to Tarek and Sarah because they deserve it. They've done nothing wrong.
No, I had to think for a second. I'm like, have they?
No, they're like two of the only characters in Star Wars who have really done nothing wrong. Like Avar has done a lot of stuff wrong. Elzar has done a
Oh,
lot of stuff wrong. Skier's done a lot of stuff wrong. Keeve's perfect, but we knew that.
the only thing that Keeve's done wrong is just cuss a bunch of times.
It's Keeve, Bell, Burry,
And don't
Tarek, and
forget
Sarah.
Ember.
Those are the only characters who have done nothing wrong.
Don't forget Ember. We can't forget about our
Ember.
bestest girl. Yeah.
No. She burned Burry's hair.
Yeah, but I wouldn't
I'm
really call that.
joking. I'm
Yeah,
joking.
I was gonna say some. Eh.
Um, because Reef trusted Nan. Uh, Lorna did the whole everything.
Mhm. Yeah, Wreath.
Yeah.
When is Wreath ever going to learn? Because I don't think
Vernestra
she'll ever.
Rowe. Uh,
Don't
I
get me
love
started
Vernestra.
on her.
I love Vernestra. She is my horrible, terrible, flawed woman who I love. Platonically, to be clear. Uh, uh, it's gonna be crazy when the High Republic ends, but also
Mhm.
like they've told such a good story. I can't even be upset that it's ending because it's been so good.
When the dust settles on this, like a lot of us that are going through this story right now have said like it's one of the best Star Wars stories ever told, and
For
it
sure.
really is. It
For
really
sure.
is. But when the dust really settles on this, I think people will look at this story in the same reverence as they do Knights of the Old Republic and the original trilogy. And
And the original Thrawn trilogy,
Mhm.
and I think this is going to be very much up there because,
Yeah.
like, and this is also really, I feel, I hope that this has set a new kind of precedent for these, like, multimedia
Mhm.
storyline things, uh, or like multiple book storyline things,
Mhm.
because they've had that previously. They had the road to the sequel trilogy
Mhm.
books. They had back in the Legends days, they did this a lot where they would have multiple authors writing a
Yeah.
long series like this. Um, but this just bringing in the comics, bringing
Mhm.
in the audio dramas, made such a huge story, and it was also planned out, and it was organized really well.
Mhm.
Whereas, like, previously, these things were a little bit either organized by an outside factor, like a movie coming out, or
Mhm.
were not as organized if you go back to like the Legends,
Yeah.
multi-author series is. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, I get
because
it.
I loved those types of
Mhm.
stories back in the Legends days,
Oh, I did
back
too.
in EU days.
Yeah.
And so when they announced this, I was like, oh my God, we're going back to this like tried and true
Yeah.
thing that fans loved in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s.
Yeah. It felt like Fate of the Jedi and Legacy of the Force and all of those all over
Exactly.
again. Yeah.
And like that's what I read when I was,
Mhm.
younger in the fandom.
Yeah.
And then for me to be now an adult in the fandom, and then, oh, yep, we're getting another of those.
Yeah.
Um, I was super pumped, and it exceeded the precedent and it exceeded the expectations.
Light of the Jedi is one of my favorite books of all time. Not just one of my favorite Star Wars
I
books,
need
but
to
one of
reread
my
it
favorite
again because
books.
it's so solid.
It
I
is.
I cry uh every time the help is on the way happens,
Oh yeah.
because like if I had to have my like top 3 Jedi moments
Mhm.
ever, top 3 ever Jedi moments, it's I am a Jedi like my father before me.
Oh yeah.
It's um it's help is on the way.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, to rope it back to what we were talking about before, the third one I think is uh Luke on crate. Luke on
Yeah.
crate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Choosing to win by not fighting.
I mean, and that is such a Jedi thing right there. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't lift a finger and he
And I
still
think that
schools
that's
them.
those 3 best Jedi moments are the moments when they stop being warriors and they start just caring.
Yeah. And that's why I love Avar Chris so much is that her compassion is always there no
Yeah.
matter what.
Even if her compassion is being twisted into something more aggressive,
Hmm.
that's still the core of what she does.
Yeah,
Uh, I think it was I think it was Zine who said maybe love is at the heart of everything the Jedi do.
it is. I mean, even Anakin said that to Padme
Yes,
in episode 2 where he said we are encouraged to love.
for everything that Anakin was wrong about, he was right about that.
Yeah, he really was right about that.
He was not
And
right about a lot of things in that
no,
movie,
no, he wasn't.
but he was right about that.
I mean, and even I will say, I love Avar in Light of the Jedi. Like, I love her
Love
so much
her.
in that book. But Temptation of the Force is the perfect Avar story, in my opinion, because of just
Because
everything.
there's something very good about a story of someone coming kind of back to themselves.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. Yeah, I, I like I'm ready to say goodbye to the era, but I'm not at the same time because it's just been like this huge thing.
I mean, and I don't think we're saying goodbye to the era. I think we will end up having other stories in the
Oh,
High Republic in the
for
future.
sure.
We're
Yeah.
definitely saying goodbye to it for the time being,
Hmm.
but I can totally see it being like maybe a year before they're like, here's another story in the High Republic. Kind of like Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Kind of
Well,
like, okay, the Bad Batch story has ended. The show is over. So here's a book and a comic.
yeah. Well, also keep in mind we still have the Acolyte novel coming out too.
Still have those Acolyte novels coming out.
Yeah.
We still have, um, we very
Still
well
have
could
the
have
art
more
book.
more seasons of Young Jedi Adventures.
I think we will. That's something that they're
Um,
not gonna give up on.
and I think once they're done with the High Republic main story, they'll be free to tie it into other things more.
Hmm.
So I think we'll see more High Republic connections because they'll
I,
know things that can fit
I
together better.
I'd be happy if Jedi 3 um had more High Republic connections, like Survivor did.
Because
Honestly.
I I think I think I think it's kind of been clear that they want to have the High Republic, and I definitely understand why they want to do this. They want to have the High Republic be kind of the what people look to when they think of the Republic, rather than
Yeah.
like the old Republic like we had in Legends, because
Mhm.
one, it's so much more recent, so it's actually something that like
Yeah.
you could reasonably remember, whereas the old Republic was thousands of years
Hmm.
before. And sometimes you don't want to fall into a time void.
Hmm.
Sometimes you want to think about something that's a believable distance,
Yeah.
earlier in time.
I,
Um, yeah,
I also think that we are going to get the old Republic coming into canon
I think
soon.
I think it's very reasonable that it could be like an old Republic type thing that we get as like the next big push.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I'm for that. That
Yeah.
sounds
Me
cool.
too. Me too. I mean, give me
Um,
the Stark Hyperspace Wars. Give me Jedi
I'm
Sith
curious to
War.
see what the new canon takes on it are.
Yeah.
Um, I could also see like they could want to do one where it's about the fall of the Old Republic, so just a
Hmm.
thousand years before the movies. I
Yeah.
could see them doing way earlier on, like the dawn of the Jedi era.
Hmm. Well, Mangold's working on the Dawn of Jedi movie,
Right.
so yeah.
Um, so I can see us getting some stuff around that
Hmm.
if they do some tie-in books and stuff when the movie comes out.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. Honestly, Star Wars publishing has always been a part of
I
my
agree.
life,
Yeah, me too.
and I hope it continues to provide us these good stories because honestly, it's some of my favorite part of Star Wars, and it always has been.
All I know is that I'm going to be pretty emotional when this story wraps up. Um,
If I'm not crying on the last page of Trials of the Jedi, then Soul has failed. Or I'm out of tears, which is what happened when I read Path of Vengeance. I ran out of tears before the last page.
that was a devastating book.
Path of Deceit too. Those
Yeah.
books, they they wrung me out like a goddamn sponge.
I'm going to say this. Phase 2 was, in my opinion, the most emotional phase of the High
Phase
Republic.
two, you could really tell that it was they had this very specific story that they wanted to tell, this very specific tone that they wanted to hit, and by God, did they hit it?
The thing that made me cry the most was Ada dying in front of Crichton. Yeah.
I just everything with the Rowe cousins
Yeah.
got me so good in both the
Hmm.
YA books.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, what Zoraida did in Convergence and what
was
Dr. Tang did in
amazing.
Cataclysm and what George did with Battle of Jeddah.
And the middle grades were really, really,
Yeah.
really good too.
They were all fun books. They were super fun books.
The
But
comics were really good.
yeah,
It
The
was
Blade.
also the Blade.
Yeah.
It was all so cohesive. It worked
It's
really
my
well.
favorite
Not that
phase of
not that phase one and phase three aren't cohesive,
yeah.
but like phase one and phase three, I think this is really what it comes down to for me. Phase two had a much smaller cast
Yep.
of characters,
Yeah.
so they were able to really hone in on each of these characters. Whereas phase one has this expansive list of characters, which I
Yeah.
love. I love most of these
Oh, me too.
characters. Some of them are passive, but I love most of these characters. And but there's just so many of them. It's hard to not feel like some of them are being shortchanged.
Yeah, I agree. I think like the graphs get a short change and everything throughout
Huh.
phase one and phase three. And
And like
phase
we get
two,
a little bit better of that since Xylan's been more of a present
yeah.
figure in phase three. But there he's it's still he's still second fiddle
Hmm. But
to yeah.
yeah, phase two is my favorite phase. It's my
I
favorite
think it's
phase.
shaping up. I think it's shaping up to be my favorite as well. But I loved them all. I
Oh,
want to
me
make that
too.
so clear.
Me too. Me
But
too.
I love phase two.
Yeah, me too. I love all three phases, but phase two was just that one where I was like, all right, it's go time. Like
I love all.
let's get into
I,
this.
I love phase. I've got the Oh my god, the Jake Bartok's phase two art. Like
Hmm.
all of the art pieces that he did, the grid on my wall
Yeah,
next to my bookshelf with all my Star Wars books on it.
nice.
But then here I've got the phase three villains poster. So like I like them all.
Yeah. Um, like I said, it just felt like it was go time with phase two, and like they never let off the gas with that phase. It
Well,
was fantastic.
phase two also tells a very tight story
It does.
because it takes place over the course of like half a year,
Yeah.
whereas phase one takes place over like 2 years.
Yeah.
Phase three has already taken place over like just about a year.
Yeah. And talking to Justina a couple of years ago at Awesome Con, and I got to tell her how much I loved Path of Deceit, and what she
Yeah,
and Tessa did with that book was just incredible. And
Justina and Tessa write a good book when they work
they
together.
do.
They write good books on their own, of course, but they write a really good book when
I
they
mean,
write
Defy the
together.
Storm was great too.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, also like, shout out Chaos and Flame and Blood and Fury. Those books are great.
all right. Well, that's it for us this week.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put together a show for next week here soon. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining us for our shenanigans and or goings on.
yeah.
Um, Leah, welcome back.
Happy to be here.
Yes, happy to have you back. It's good to be back. And yeah, that's it for us this week. Just
All right.
remember, at the end of the day, we're all the Republic. Goodbye.